Everyone, what's going on? This video is going to be ex-cons. What is the most fucked up thing about prison that nobody knows about? Posted by My Ping is Trash. First one, con/employee relationships can be sneaky. When I was going through training to work in the prison system, I thought I'd never be caught dead doing favors or being friendly with an inmate. Eventually, after seeing the same inmate every day for months, cleaning your office, taking the trash, you realize they're human too. He wears a cross around his neck, he carries a bottle of adobo in his pocket for mealtime, he's active in church, he's a painter and loves pigeons. You find out his hobbies and bits about his life, and soon you see about getting him an extra blanket or a new pair of shoes, and you forget he stabbed his wife 9 times. Former prison librarian here. Dental care. Dentists won't fill your teeth, they will just pull them. No caps, no implants. Race. Prisons are still self-segregating in a lot of ways. When I worked in prison in West Virginia, one dorm had a black TV controlled only by black inmates and a white TV controlled only by white inmates. Honor culture. If you call someone a name or steal from them, the other person must retaliate to save honor. As a result, you see a lot of black eyes in prison. Postage stamps are a form of currency. Many prisons censor what books come into the institution. At one prison I worked in, The Art of War by Sun Tzu was banned simply because of the title. I assure you that no one in admin had ever read that book. A neighbor of mine was locked up for murder and released sometime before I was born. It's one of those things where everyone knew about it, but no one talked about it. I remember telling him the story of why he was in there and what it was like, very rarely did, and the most surprising thing in his experience was that the smaller, quieter, weaker, more vulnerable in general were typically left alone. It's only if you acted like a big shot did people want to fight you. Also, picking fights with said smaller, quieter, weaker, more vulnerable ones will instantly get you a non-stop flogging by other inmates until your spirit broke. My dad was in prison. In his situation, and in many others, you feel immense guilt after getting to know your fellow inmates because you're going to get out and they're not ever. Shit bombing. I had a friend go to prison for a drug-related crime. He had his own cell and stuck to himself for the most part. Another inmate shit into a water bottle and filled it to the brim with water and mixed it up into a slush. Said inmate then took the water bottle to my friend's cell, placed it at the slit at the bottom of his cell door, and fucking stomped on it. Shit water sprayed absolutely everywhere while my friend was in the cell too. A cigarette in prison consists of the following. 1. Take a regular cigarette out of a pack. 2. Cut the tobacco portion of the cigarette into 4 equal parts. 3. Remove the tobacco from each of the separated portions and re-roll it using Bible pages into 4 mini cigarettes called a clip. 4. Sell each clip for $2 to $4. A cigarette out of the pack can be sold whole for between 10 to 20 each. Edit, here is the currency conversion for the prison where I was incarcerated. 1 ramen noodle soup, $1. 1 mackerel fish pouch, $1.50. A bag of coffee, $8. New bar of ivory soap, $2. 1 pack of duplex cookies, $2. Bed made, $1. Laundered t-shirt, $1. Tattoo, $20 to $50, depending on how many hours spent. Fellatio in the far stall, $5. All part of the cigarette clips tobacco trade. It was very common for someone to walk around the yard picking up fully smoked cigarettes to shake out the last few crumbs of tobacco for rolling into a clip. Most people were fine just buying a clip or 2 that would last them the entire evening. If someone saw you smoking a Cadillac, you are either going to have to share that Cadillac or fight. Again, a Cadillac is a full factory rolled standard cigarette. Someone asked about a hot oil shower in a buried comment. A hot oil shower is when an inmate will take a cup of baby oil and heat it up in the microwave to the point of almost boiling the oil. This is done late at night so that you can take the hot oil and throw it in somebody's face while they're asleep, which will burn the skin off their face. It's a very effective attack weapon. My friend's father worked in a prison. He had to quit because some coworkers neglected to give a woman her bipolar medication, just so they could see what happens. I don't know if it's much of a secret, but they didn't give some women sanitary products, so the women had to free bleed, and they get mad when their uniforms got stained. Everyone was so goddamn friendly. I was mad when I got out and had to deal with the real assholes again. I think it was the fact that we all knew we fucked up, and there wasn't any reason to act different or hide anything. Granted, Minnesota prisons are nowhere near the toughest. When you get out, you miss the simplicity of choices. When you are in, all you think about is getting out and what you will do when that happens. Everything focuses around this. When you are out, at first, the input is enormous, and the small part of you misses the simplicity. When you get out, the feeling of soft carpet on your bare feet is borderline orgasmic, and you'll never take it for granted again. Not an ex-con, but a former prison librarian. Inmates are not allowed to have intimate relations, including with themselves. They can get infractions for being caught masturbating. My brother is a CO, and he told us why their inmates have shampoo and soaps that come in packets now. They used to have it in little bottles. Well, the guys would use up all the soap, and instead of throwing the bottle away, they would keep it and fill it with a combination of whatever bodily fluids they felt was appropriate and use it to hold up other inmates for their commissary. Like, if you don't give me your commissary, I'm going to squirt this bottle in your face. And when they said no and got squirted in the face, they got pink eye. My brother said a lot of people had pink eye. Shit was always one of the ingredients in the bottle. Edit, since so many people keep asking, commissary is like a general store for prison jail. They have food items, toiletries, other things. Although I don't know the specifics, inmates get money in their commissary account either from their family or from whatever work they do, if that's a thing where they are. Was listening to a podcast on the West Memphis 3. One of the guys said the worst thing about prison was that during the summer, there was 1 million mosquitoes in his cell. The entire wall of his cell was red from the blood of all the dead mosquitoes he would slap and punch every day. They would be in his cell 24/7, just stinging him nonstop while he slept, while he was taking a dump, while he was jerking off. It never ended. Most summer days, he would just lay on the floor crying, wishing for death. Guards can and will withhold medical treatment. When I was in county jail, there was an older woman vomiting profusely. She couldn't keep water down, her skin was tenting, and she was hallucinating. I explained all this to the guards, and that she needed medical treatment immediately. For 2 days she was like that until I transferred out. I have no idea what happened to that woman, and still think about her. This was in Georgia. Not in prison, but I volunteer in one. One time I was chatting up this huge black dude, and I asked him what he did in his free time. He said he played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons. I was shocked. On the outside, he would never be mistaken for a D&D player. White guy on the other side of me told me that D&D was huge in prison. I had no idea. Also, same guy makes tacos for everyone else and makes money doing it. I think he has a hot plate in his cell and uses commissary items as ingredients. In PC, protective custody, the guys with really sick crimes compare them with one another. In fact, they don't necessarily get beat up because what they have done in the past. It's because they are bragging about it in the present. On a slightly lighter side, a sort of family friend recently got out of prison after 18 years for holding up a gas station for drug money. My uncle was his friend, and when the guy got out, my uncle said, "Man, there's this show you're going to love called Game of Thrones." The guy laughed and said, "We're current on it." The inside black market was his source for a tiny 2-inch battery-powered screen and micro SD cards with the episodes on it. Every now and then, it would be confiscated as contraband, and he'd have to save up for a month to buy another. He also had a prison cat that knew to leave his cell before morning activities and to come back after lights out. He'd feed it little chunks of meat he'd smuggled out of the mess hall. One big thing for him was making sure to train the cat who to go to next, because there's definitely some people that would have killed it just for the unique experience. Edit, humorously though, my brother found the post and corrected something. He says the tiny little TV was something that they were allowed to have, but the SD cards were what was contraband. Alright, I think that's going to be it for this one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Please comment, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and stick around for the next video.